We're going to do questions now. Normally, we would do 5-minute rounds of questions, and I think sticking to that time and then taking a second round, probably a good idea in case we're joined by other colleagues and in case some of my colleagues now here have to leave. So let me begin. Ms. Cantor, thank you for those recommendations, the policy red lines. To make it real simple, Donald Trump and his family ought to divest everything they own, all their interests, anything that provides any sort of revenue or profit from digital assets, correct?
Absolutely.
And that would go for Mr. Witkoff?
Absolutely.
And Mr. Lutnick?
Absolutely.
And anyone else in the Trump administration who is currently owning or profiting from digital assets, correct?
Yes, they have to divest of their every financial interest they have in digital assets.
And that's a bare minimum that the American people should expect.
Absolutely. You know, these are, yeah, I mean, when you see somebody bringing in $1.4 billion, if you don't do something now, that means next year maybe $10.4 billion. You know, the following year, $100.4 billion. It won't stop.
And on the issue of disclosure, you know, Senator Van Hollen and Senator Durbin and myself, we file regular disclosure forms with all of the purchases and sales of assets, securities that we do. There ought to be full disclosure by all public officials, anyone in a position of responsibility, of digital assets that they own, that they bought, that they've sold, correct?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, because of the position that this Securities and Exchange Commission has taken as to whether or not crypto constitutes a security, they have basically undermined the disclosure requirements.
And this issue of enforcement, which is your third point, for me is absolutely the linchpin here. You know, most of my career has been as a law enforcer, as a federal prosecutor, U.S. attorney in Connecticut, and then as Attorney General of the state of Connecticut for 20 years. And the law is dead letter if it isn't enforced. If we depend on a Department of Justice that is the president's personal law firm, an Attorney General who is his legal henchman, his consigliere, there'll be no enforcement. What we need, as you say, is the Attorneys General of states to be involved and an independent source of enforcement at the federal level, correct?
That's correct. There's no way we can depend on the handpicked Attorney General, the President, to enforce this law.
On this issue of enforcement, let me ask you, Mr. Stark. The SEC enforces all the securities laws protection, has been generally an independent agency.
Absolutely. During my time there, I probably served under 7 different chairs of the SEC. I never noticed, I'm a lifetime Republican, never noticed what party anybody was. The mission was always the same, stop fraud.
Was there a time when the SEC was involved in enforcement on meme coins?
They were involved in the enforcement of everything. There were more than 200 or so cases that the SEC won every single one of those involving crypto, initial coin offerings, simple agreements for future tokens, lending programs, staking programs. They've all been decided by judges to be securities. And in these litigation, the remarkable thing is, and I know you know this from Attorney General, these were incredibly really excellent law firms defending these crypto companies. So the judges in turn have issued these very lengthy opinions saying all these things are securities. Then Chairman Paul Atkins comes and says, nope, nothing is a security. We're just going to ignore what the law says.
So the Trump administration essentially eviscerated that jurisdiction, emasculated the SEC as an enforcer against crypto corruption.
Yes, they closed just about every single litigation that was going on, withdrew all appeals. They shut down the crypto unit. They sent the person in the crypto unit who'd won all those cases to the Office of Information Technology to fix printers, and they renamed it the Cyber Unit, and they have not brought any cases along those lines since.
So the crypto is now in a kind of enforcement netherworld where we depend on laws that were not designed to protect against crypto abuses. An agency that is supposed to enforce against securities violations stripped of its practical authority by this administration.
Absolutely. And for the chairman at the SEC to do this, it's really remarkable. When I was there, even if there was one district court decision that was somewhat against what the SEC believed, the whole building would change in terms of their approach. This chairman has said none of these things and withdrawn every single rule, every single guardrail, and just said, I don't care about this crypto. But even worse, Senator, he goes around promoting it like a carnival barker. That's another thing no chairman had ever done during my time. They're not supposed to advocate particular types of investing, but he goes to all these crypto shows. He stands up and launches Project Crypto. And it's really, it's mind-numbing to watch the chairman of the SEC traverse the country marketing crypto to people who are going to suffer these devastating losses.
And I assume you would agree with Ms. Cantor's recommendations on the provisions relating to divestiture, disclosure, and enforcement.
Absolutely. I had the privilege of working with Ginny during the time that she was at the SEC, and the ethical guidelines there were very intense about what you could and couldn't own. So I don't disagree with any of that. And, you know, again, as I said, I'm a libertarian, a Republican my entire life, but I look at this not as a partisan issue, just as commonsensical.
Thank you. You know, your point, I think, is very well taken. As an attorney, we can focus on, you know, the technicalities and the details of provisions legally, but I'm just struck by the picture of the President of the United States hawking this really fraudulent product that has no value to back it and then plummeted in value after he hyped and hawked it.
And what's remarkable is, Chairman Atkins, all of those losses in the meme coin, the silence is deafening from the Division of Enforcement. Billions of dollars in losses, and the answer to that is not even an investor alert, not even a warning. Nothing. Silence.
The hearing opened with Senator Richard Blumenthal setting the tone for what became a broader debate over ethics, conflicts of interest, and the federal government's role in policing cryptocurrency markets. Rather than beginning with technical questions about blockchain technology or digital assets, Blumenthal focused on a fundamental issue: whether public officials who have influence over crypto policy should personally profit from the industry they oversee.